What are we gonna do tonight, OCG?
Well, the same thing we try to do every night, Bertram. Take over YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, joined once again by my faithful manservant / factotum Bertram. Say hello, Bertram.
Hello, Bertram.
And this is our retrospective for Final Fantasy X-2. So, dear viewer, don't you dare forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video.
What is this?
I'm so glad you asked, Barry Burton. Final Fantasy X-2 is a role-playing video game that was developed and published by Square for the PlayStation 2 in 2003. A year I remember fondly as the year I first fantasized about Yuna bringing me breakfast in bed whilst I am snuggled up with Lulu and her massive coconuts. Haha.
Yuna? Lulu? Those are characters from Final Fantasy X.
You don't say, Bertram.
I do say.
Idiot. Anyway, Final Fantasy X-2 is a direct sequel to 2001's Final Fantasy X and tells the story of Yuna, summoner extraordinaire, as she searches for her love interest with a small penis from Final Fantasy X. She does this by participating in a ménage à trois with returning female character Rikku and newcomer Paine.
What does ménage à trois mean?
I don't really know, Bertram. I don't speak Elvish, but it has something to do with 3 people, or the number 3. So I thought it was appropriate. Haha. Basically, Yuna teams up with 2 other pieces of toddy, and together they team up to search for Tidus, the love interest with the small penis I was telling you about, as well as saving Spira from a big mechanical dinosaur-looking thing and a chap who looks a lot like Tidus. You know, the love interest with the small penis I was telling you about.
Oh, that joke is going to get old very quickly.
Well, haha, lucky for you, that's the last time I'll be making it.
Well, Final Fantasy X-2 sounds very exciting.
Oh, it really is. Well, mostly. Go and watch my review for my full, unedited thoughts on the game.
Is that the review you make that really inappropriate joke about Cloud from Final Fantasy VII and a garden gnome?
Oh, haha, you'll just have to watch it and find out.
Oh, but I'd rather clip my toenails than watch one of your bloody reviews.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Development for Final Fantasy X-2 began in late 2001 and was a response to the success of Final Fantasy X, a game that my Uncle Roberto called, better than the making of the love.
Whatever happened to your Uncle Roberto?
He had a fatal heart attack while making of the love.
Oh.
The production team initially disliked the name X-2, probably because, like me, they thought it sounded like the second DVD in a release of X-rated scenes featuring your favorite Final Fantasy characters. but the title was eventually accepted since the story was a direct continuation of the previous story and thus could not be the next numbered game in the Final Fantasy series.
What was the next numbered game in the Final Fantasy series?
Well, if the last numbered entry was Final Fantasy X, that would make the next one...
Final Fantasy 12?
No. Try again.
Final Fantasy 10?
No, I already said the last one was called Final Fantasy X. What comes after 10?
Fondle time?
What?
Well, usually after 10 p.m., I retire to my room to...
No, what number comes after the You know what, Bertram, never mind. Why do I put up with you?
Because I know where all the bodies are hidden.
Anyway, Kazushige Nojima, the previous game's writer, was also skeptical about the creation of a sequel. He was particularly averse to the happy ending, which he felt was wrong for the story.
Oh, what the hell does he know?
For once, I agree with you, Bertram. I was never a massive fan of Final Fantasy X's sad ending, so I'm glad that X2 fixes that. If you want to know what the hell I'm talking about, don't worry, I'll be recapping the story in just a moment. Or better yet, go and play the game for yourself, you lazy bastard. What was I saying? Oh yes, the production team was 1/3 the size of its predecessor. Now this was because the team was already familiar with the material, and a significant number of character models, enemies, and location designs would be recycled from Final Fantasy X. This meant that it only took about a year to create Final Fantasy X-2.
A year? Wow! You can barely use the bathroom in that amount of time.
Don't exaggerate, Bertram. Producer Yoshinori Katase and director Motomo Toriyama explained that the objective in mind when designing Final Fantasy X-2 was to make it more upbeat than its predecessor.
How do you make a Final Fantasy game more upbeat?
Simple, Bertram. You basically make the 3 lead characters an anime version of Charlie's Angels, and you add a J-pop song at the beginning. Oh, and you also allow your lead characters to change into colorful outfits mid-battle.
Oh!
Right, don't get too excited, Bertram. Sadly, we do not get to see the characters naked whilst they are changing.
Oh.
Because of the events of Final Fantasy X, this game could not feature summons, or Aeons as they are called in Final Fantasy X. So the developers had to come up with other gameplay elements, hence the changing outfits I mentioned, and much more which I'll discuss when we talk about this game's gameplay.
That doesn't sound right.
What doesn't sound right?
Following up the word games with gameplay.
Well, what should I have said then?
How about when we talk about Final Fantasy X-2's gameplay.
Fine. I'll discuss that when we talk about Final Fantasy X-2's gameplay. So, what else can I tell you about the development of the game? Check notes, Oh yes! The music was composed by Noriko Matsuida and Takahito Eguchi. And the soundtrack includes that's right, not one, but two J-pop pop songs. J-pop pop song. No, that doesn't sound right either, being followed up. The soundtrack features not one, but two pop J-pop pop of the J songs. Songs of the pop J variety. No, a variety of pop J-pop. The soundtrack features not one, but two songs. Real emotion and 1,000 words, both of which play during two of the best cutscenes in Final Fantasy X-2.
Oh, I love those songs.
And if you start singing them, I'll castrate you again, Bertram.
Oh, please don't. I just got the stitches out.
Right, so let's recap the story for Final Fantasy X-2. So, 2 years after Sin's defeat, Yuna, Rikku, and Paine recover Yuna's stolen garment grid from the LeBlanc Syndicate in the first of several encounters in which they vie for spears. The game is punctuated by a narration of Yuna addressing Tidus as though she is recounting the events of the game to him as they occur. Crazy bitch. Meanwhile, the Gullwings discover a spear containing images of an ancient Machina weapon called Vegnagun that was secretly buried beneath the veil. The weapon has enough power to threaten all of Spira. The Gullwings join forces with the LeBlanc Syndicate to investigate the underground areas of the city in an attempt to destroy the machine before it can be used by either side in the upcoming conflict. However, discovering a large tunnel recently dug into the floor of the weapon's chamber, they realize that Vegnagun has apparently moved to the far plane, located deep below ground. Disagreements between Spira's factions are exasperated. That's it. Spira's factions are exasperated by the disappearance of their leaders, Baralai, Nuj, and Gipal. In the underground areas of the Vel, the Gullwings discover the missing faction leaders discussing Vegnagun and learn that the machine's artificial intelligence allows it to detect hostility and respond by fleeing. Paine had once been comrades with all three men during an operation in the Den of Woe. 2 years earlier, their squad explored the cave, but a vengeful spirit drove them to kill one another. The 4 were the only survivors. The spirit, Shuin, a soldier from the Machina War that led to the creation of Vegnagun, possessed Nuj and later forced him to shoot his comrades. Under Bevel, Shuyin possesses Baralai and follows Vegnagun to the far plane. Nuj and Gopal pursue, asking Yuna to keep things under control on the surface. Yuna falls into the far plane and meets Shuyin, who mistakes her for a woman named Len. which isn't usually a woman's name, but in this game it is. A woman named Len, whose memories are recorded in the songstress dress Spira. 1,000 years ago, Shuyin was a famous blitzball player in the high-tech metropolis of Zanarkand, and Len's lover. Deciding to save Len, who had been conscripted into the Macking War between Zanarkand and Bevel, he infiltrated Bevel to hijack their secret weapon, Vegnagun. Len begged him to stop, and Shuyin yielded. But a group of Bevel soldiers arrived a moment later and fucked the couple right up. Basically, they executed them. They executed the couple. In the present, Shuyin's spirit expresses anger that the people have still not understood the pain of war, and plans to use Vegnagun to destroy all of Spira in retribution. The Gullwings organize a concert to which everyone in Spira is invited, supporters of the Youth League and New Yevon alike. The songstress dress Spira displays the scene of Shuyin and Len's last moments to all the concert goers, opening their eyes to the unproductive nature of their disagreements. Although the factional fighting had ceased, Shuyin's plan proceeds. Joining forces with the LeBlanc Syndicate again, the Gullwings make their way to the far plane and find Gipple and Nuge already battling Vegnagun. Once the group destroys Vegnagun, Yuna masquerades as Len to convince Shuyin to let go, but Shuyin eventually sees through her and attacks. The Gullwings defeat him, and Len's spirit appears to soothe him as they depart together. By fulfilling certain conditions, the ancient spirits known as Faith agree to restore Tidus to life and reunite him with Yuna. The end.
Why did you sing that?
I have absolutely no idea. Anyway, that's the story for Final Fantasy X-2. Final Fantasy X-2 takes place 2 years after Final Fantasy X and is set in the fictional world of Spira, which is largely unchanged since Final Fantasy X, and many locations make an appearance here, including Besaid, Kilika, Mount Gagging for it. Gagazet, the ruins of Zanarkand, Josie. But luckily there's no appearance from those annoying cluster of trials from the last game, or that giant whale-looking bastard.
Sin?
Not right now, Bertram.
No. The giant whale-looking thing was called Sin, wasn't it?
Yes. I knew that's what you were talking about. Yes, it was.
For the benefit of those who might not have played Final Fantasy X or seen your previous retrospective, why don't you tell us more about Spira and its many colorful races?
Why would people not have played Final Fantasy X or watched my previous retrospective? The only people who have an excuse not to do that are dead people, and even then, I'd still be pissed off with them if they haven't watched my...
Oh, just get on with it.
Fine. Spira consists of 3 subcontinents surrounded by small tropical islands. It is very different from the mainly European-style worlds found in previous Final Fantasy games, being much more closely modeled on Southeast Asia, There is a variety of races, though predominantly you'll encounter humans in the game. Among them are the Albert, a technologically advanced subgroup of humans with distinctive green eyes and unique language.
I met an Albert person once.
Fascinating. Spira is also home to the Guado, which are less human in appearance with elongated fingers a la Freddy Krueger. There are also other races, including the lion-like Rodso and the frog-like Hypillo. There's also the usual mechanical enemies, giant insects and chocobos, but sadly, there is a distinct lack of prostitutes, male, female, and/or undecided. Like I have already said, our three main playable characters of Final Fantasy X-2 are Yuna, Rikku, and Paine. They are all members of a spear hunter group called the Gullwings.
I think they're just called the Gullwings.
Whatever. Yuna was inspired to join this little group after viewing a spear recording that appeared to show Tidus. You can see this in the Eternal Calm cutscene that takes place in between Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2, and is included in the Final Fantasy X slash. I thought I said that wrong. I don't think I did. Bertram, did I say that wrong?
Say what wrong?
Never mind. Anyway, Eternal Calm cutscene that takes place in between Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2, and is included in the Final Fantasy X slash X2 HD Remaster collection.
That cutscene was originally included in the Japanese version of Final Fantasy X International for PlayStation 2.
You don't say.
I do say.
Anyway, Yuna and Rikku are joined in their little quest by Paine, a new character for Final Fantasy X-2, and she's quite a looker. I'm not usually a fan of women with short hair. I can't even watch Alien 3 without wanting to throw up. But Paine sort of pulls it off.
She pulls her hair off?
No, pulls off that particular look. It suits her.
Oh!
You really are an idiot, Bertram.
Says the man who thought the capital of the United Kingdom was Legoland.
Shut up, Bertram. I was 12 when I thought that. Anyway, apart from our main cast of playable characters, we have some returning chaps and chapettes from Final Fantasy X, including Brother, Waka, and Lulu. Speaking of Lulu, she's pregnant in this game, and I can confirm that I am not the father.
Thank you for clarifying that. I mean, I was wondering.
Don't be sarcastic, Bertram, or I'll castrate you again.
Oh, please don't. I just got the stitches out.
Now, Final Fantasy X-2 introduces some new colorful characters, such as Merinuch, the leader of the Progressive Youth League, Praetor Badalai, the leader of the reformist New Yemen Party, Gipple, who leads the Machine faction. We also have the LeBlanc Syndicate, a group of spear hunters who serve as the Gullwings' rivals for much of the game. The game's main antagonist is Shuyin, the unsent spirit of a fallen soldier during the Machina War 1,000 years ago, who just so happens to look a lot like Tidus, including his equally small penis. In Final Fantasy X-2, you'll explore Spira by jumping, climbing, fighting enemies, and doing side quests.
But you hate side quests.
Well, luckily for me and you, the side quests are optional.
Why am I lucky?
Because if I had to do a single side quest, I said to myself that I'd jam the controller down your throat and make you poop it out.
Oh, I am lucky. I don't remember jumping or climbing in Final Fantasy X.
That's because it was introduced in this game, Bertram.
Oh!
And it's an addition that would make its way into Final Fantasy XIII. Now, unlike Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2 is split into chapters, and you can visit almost every location in Spira from an early point in the game via airship.
Is an airship similar to an Uber?
Kind of. Except it flies. And it's far more impressive looking. And most of them aren't driven by a chap or chapette who could drive you into a dark alley and murder you.
That's never happened to me.
You don't bloody say. Anyway, if you do every story mission as well as most of the side quests, you can unlock a secret ending. And as much as I hate side quests, I do like me some secret endings. And Final Fantasy X-2 has a particularly good one. Oh, and there's also several mini-games, including Gunner's Gauntlet, which is a shooter game, and Spear Break, which is a math-based coin game, as well as a management sim based on Blitzball, the fictional underwater sport from Final Fantasy X.
You hate the Blitzball, don't you?
More than I hate pornography without subtitles. Now, when you finish Final Fantasy X-2 for the first time, you'll unlock a New Game Plus, which will let you replay the game with your completion percentage intact. But sadly, your character levels are reset. Ho ho. So, let's talk about the combat. The combat in Final Fantasy X-2 uses an enhanced version of the active time battle system from Final Fantasy X. To put it simply, bar fills up. When full, you can attack an enemy, or use an item, or heal/buff an ally, or rip your clothes off and do the fandango. Maybe not that last one, but someone should put it in a Final Fantasy game. Bertram, write this down. Dear Square Enix, in Final Fantasy XVII, I demand a move in which our characters rip their clothes off and do the fandango. That's FANDANGO. Signed, the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer. Got it?
Got it!
Good. Now, Final Fantasy X-2 allows characters to change their character class mid-battle using dress spears and the garment grid. Now, these dress spheres are based on Final Fantasy character classes, allowing access to different abilities to alter the course of battle. Now, the garment grid is a placard thing with a geometric shape connected by nodes. Basically, characters have access to dress spheres placed in the nodes. Now, depending on the properties of the garment grid, changing dress spheres in battle will grant bonuses such as increased strength, bigger breast size, added elemental effects, and characters can learn new skills for each dress sphere with the use of ability points. And ability points are earned by defeating enemies, and by using items and abilities for that sphere. Understood?
No?
Well, tough. Final Fantasy X-2, released in 2003 for the PlayStation 2 to mostly positive reviews. The game was re-released in high definition for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Vita in 2013, alongside Final Fantasy X as Final Fantasy X/X2 HD Remaster. Now, this version was later released for the PlayStation 4 in 2015, Windows in 2016, and the losers who play Nintendo Switch and Xbox One, well, they didn't get it until 2019. Ha 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 ha! Now, if you haven't already, then I implore you to buy, download, steal, or sell your body to get your hands on Final Fantasy X-2 and play it, goddammit! So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our retrospective for Final Fantasy X-2. If you enjoyed this little video of ours, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then, feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Say goodbye, Bertram.
Goodbye, Bertram.
Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.